taking that thumbnail is a struggle. What's up? My name is Dom and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I make bookish content, travel content, and miscellaneous collection content. Today's video is going to be bookish content because we're going to talk about all the books on my physical TBR since I saw these videos circling around, so I thought it would be fun to share. I have a lot of books to talk about. I think I have 15 or so books to talk about. Some of these books are old because I keep putting them off. Some are just brand new. I have a lot of books on my Kindle that I've been reading because I've been gone, so that's why I haven't been able to touch these books. Without further ado, I think we should just jump right in because, you know, we're in quarantine. I have so many books to choose from and yet I'm still struggling, but we'll see. So the first book I'm going to talk about is It by Stephen King. I meant to read this in October 2019. I just never got the chance to because this is a Halloween book and I want to read it around Halloween. Yeah, it was supposed to be read in October 2019, but I was still reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which I did not want to put down, so that's why this is here. I'm sure we all know what this is about. Killer Clown, huge book. Again, I like to read big books, like at least one big book a year, and this year I'm going to shoot for 3. This one, Under the Dome by Stephen King, and then Arabian Nights, because I'm going like in order on the Goodreads list, because you know, and at least in the app, I don't know if you could do this on the computer, but at least in the app you could like change how your list look. I could read this in quarantine, I could read this really fast in quarantine, but I want to read other stuff, so I'm not going to. Next we have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I bought this 2 years ago now, like 2 years around this time too. So from like late January to early July in 2018, I studied abroad in New Zealand and I was in Auckland, New Zealand. So for the mid-semester break, we decided, me and a few friends, we decided to do a South Island trip. And our first stop was Christchurch, which was where I bought this book. I bought the whole Lord of the Rings series in New Zealand just because they were filmed in New Zealand and I like to buy books when I travel, so what other series to buy. Plus finding Kiwi literature was so hard. I don't know why. I have a few books in mind now that I'm not there anymore, but like I couldn't find Kiwi literature, so I was like, alright, I'll just rely on the movies. I did get to see why did I say that so weird? I did get to see Hobbiton, which was really fun. Moment of truth, I'm not the biggest Lord of the Rings fan. Personally, the movies literally bored me to sleep. I was able to get through the first one, but then the second one, I fell asleep for a good hour while my friends were watching it. I want to see if I feel differently about the books. I know people say, a lot of my friends actually like The Hobbit better than the trilogy, so we'll see. I really like this cover as well. I like this whole edition. I don't know what about it, but I love it. The texture is really nice too. That leads me to the next 3 books, which are the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You have Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and then Return of the King. And these are all the movie covers, I believe, and again, I bought these while I was in New Zealand. These were not on a South Island trip because I didn't want a lot to carry around, but my accommodation was like 2-minute walk from a mall, which had a huge bookstore, so, and you know, they greatly advertised these considering where they were filmed, so I just went there and bought them. And yeah, I will say I've actually read the first book before back in 8th grade, and it bored me to tears, but I was 13, so I'm thinking maybe my taste in books has changed since then. So a book I actually just got in the mail 2 days ago because I had no idea this already came out, but so I ordered it right away, is The Conference of Birds by Ransom Riggs. This is book 5 in the Miss Peregrine series, significantly smaller than book 4. I don't want to give the synopsis of this because it'll spoil like the past few books, but the synopsis of the very first book is, so Jacob Perlman and him and his dad go to Wales to try to like find some stuff out about his grandpa. He meets these mysterious kids, he walks into a loop, they all have they're peculiars. There we go. I cannot say that other word to save my life. This is the 5th one. It came out recently. I don't have Amazon Prime anymore because it was expensive, so I canceled it because my student Prime has canceled, so I would have had to pay the $100 a year. And it still came in 2 days. I'm not complaining. And I don't know if I want to read this first or Lord of the Rings. I probably will go through this first just so I can get the series out of the way. Next we have Origin by Dan Brown. This is book 5 of the Robert Langdon series. This has also been sitting on my shelf for far too long, but I keep putting this off for whatever reason. So Robert Langdon just goes to see a science, or wasn't a science experiment, but it was like something that will change the face of science forever, and something goes wrong, the huge. I really love the first 2 books of the Robert Langdon series, Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code, and Lost Symbol didn't hold up at all. Inferno was better, but not as good, so I'm hoping this will bring some things back. My friend said it does. She's read it and she said it like reminds her a bit of the first 2 books. I thought this book was going to play off more so on Inferno because something, I can't like spoil Inferno, but something happened in Inferno where he was saying, oh, I want to study it in other books. reading the synopsis of this, it doesn't look like he's doing that. So I'm very curious, but we'll see. I don't know when I'll read this. I can knock these books out really fast, and also just the way they're published, like this mass market crap. I hate mass markets, but all of his books are in the mass markets, basically. And I can usually knock out these books pretty fast, so we'll see what happens. Next we have Schindler's Ark by Thomas Keneally. This is a non-fiction book. This is the book that Schindler's List was based off of. Schindler's List is a true story. Schindler's List slash Schindler's Ark, that was very hard to get out, is based on a true story. In World War II, this German dude was, you know, having a factory. He had a factory and he hired Jews as cheap labor. Like, that was his original intent of having Jewish workers. It was just because they were cheap labor. But as time went on, he realized the shit that was going on, so he did everything he could to save like over 1,000 people and keep them in this factory for their own safety. And Steven Spielberg got his outline from this book, essentially. That's all I know about this book. I actually bought this while I was in Poland. So over the summer, I did a 2-month-long Europe trip that I've talked about a few times on this channel before. One of the stops was Krakow, Poland. And then we went to Krakow so we could visit Auschwitz. Auschwitz has a bookstore with a bunch of like World War II based books. And this was one of them, so I bought it there. The next book is The Iliad by Homer. I bought this while I was in Santorini because, of course, if I'm going to read Greek literature, I might as well get it in the country. You know, it's the story of Achilles. And I want to read this book because there's a bunch of retellings I want to read, like Son of Achilles, I think it's Son of Achilles, and Circe, maybe? Circe is based off some Homer story, but I can't remember if it's this one or the Odyssey, which I have read and thought it was boring. Son of Achilles is definitely like a retelling of sorts based on this, so I really want to read Son of Achilles, but I want to make sure I have this read first. If you ever have the chance to go to Santorini, go to Santorini. Loved it there. It was my favorite part of Greece while we were there. Next we have Legendary Ireland, Myths and Legends of Ireland by Ethne Massey. Irish names I have the hardest time with. I love Irish names, but I can never pronounce them when I see them. Like the title suggests, it's just Myths and Legends of Irish Stories. Over the summer, part of that trip was going to the Republic of Ireland and North Ireland. I bought this while I was in Belfast. If you see like old Irish stories, they have some interesting stuff going on. There's always these like cool little myths and legends attached to like all their old castles, all these old streets, Giant's Causeway. What else did we see? The Cliffs of Moher had their own legends. Not Burroughs, that's in New York. The Burns had their own legends. So while I was there, I'm like, I really want to read like old school Irish stuff. I am actually a quarter Irish from my maternal grandfather. He was born in Roscommon. I don't know if it's actually pronounced like that. That's what it looks like. So Roscommon County, Ireland. That's where he was born. He did not grow up there. He moved to Chicago as a baby. So because of him, or like more so my mom, because he died before I was born, I do know some Irish stories, but not a lot. So I want to be more well versed in them. I do know a lot of Irish music though, and I had no idea how much Irish music I knew until I got to Ireland, because on the buses to these tours, they would play traditional songs, and I was like, oh, I know that song. I know that song. I know that song. I know that song. My friend that I went with was like, how the fuck do you know all this music? I don't know the titles of songs. I just recognize songs. And then we went to an Irish pub on our last night, or of course it was an Irish pub if we're in Ireland, but we went to a pub on our last night in Dublin, recognized every song that band sang. And they asked me where I was from, and I was like, oh, Chicago. Then they told me a cute little story about Ireland and Chicago and played a song for me, and I was like, we stand. I'm going to hold up the next two books together just because same thing here. So the Death Note series, I have the black editions, and I have volume 1 and volume 2 of the black editions. I guess I should be holding it that way. I don't know. So the thing with black editions is that they actually hold 2 volumes in one book. So like volume 1 has both volume 1 and 2 in it. And volume 1 I got for Christmas, not 2019, but 2018. Like roommates and I did a gift exchange, and this is what one of them got me. So I was like, oh, I need the others before I could start reading this. So then I got this at a comic book store in downtown Chicago. And I don't want to start reading these until I have the other 4 in my hands, but everything's closed right now. And I'm trying to order as little as possible on Amazon. So that's why I've been waiting to read this series, because I love binging series. I don't like reading things in between, I just binge. Plus I am like kind of well versed in these because I have seen the series twice. Once was in like early high school, and then me and a roommate watched it again in college. But to my knowledge, I do understand that there's some things in the manga that were changed for the anime. So I'm excited to see those, especially with Elle, because there's a lot with Elle that was changed. We have another graphic novel, which is Descender, Volume 1, The Stars, by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. That's not how that name's pronounced. I'm so sorry I butchered that. But I bought this, I want to say pushing 2 years ago. Yeah, because I bought this while I was in New York. Pushing on 2 years ago because summer 2018, me and 2 friends did a road trip from Chicago to New York City. And we went to the Strand bookstore, but I've read all the books I bought there. Then we went to a comic book store and I saw this, and Sam at Thoughts on Tomes has read this, and I just love the cover, and that's why I want to read it. I don't actually know what it's about. I just like how beautiful all the covers are. And again, I haven't been touching this because I don't have the rest of the series, and I don't want to start reading it without like at least volume 2 in my hands. I did see this at the comic book store in Chicago where I bought the Death Note stuff, but I can't go because it's closed right now. And hopefully it stays open because I know a lot of like smaller businesses are like going bankrupt right now, so pray that it stays open because it's a cool store. 2 more comics to show you guys, and it is, let me take them out of the box. So we have the Complete Peanuts Collection Volume 1, which is from the years 1950 to 1952, and then we have Volume 2, which is from 1953 to 1954. I like seeing how the art evolved and just seeing how the jokes evolved too, because my dad was telling me like he remembers reading these as a kid, and he was telling me how like Charlie Brown when he was a kid is a different Charlie Brown that we know today. I don't know how different because I haven't read it yet, so I don't know how different the personalities actually are, but I'm excited to know. These are also very, very heavy, and I feel like I could break a toe if I were to drop these on my feet. And the last book we're going to talk about is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. I always want to say Notre Dame because there's a high school in Chicago called Notre Dame, and then the, university in America. But anyway, moving on. I bought this in Paris at Shakespeare & Company. I think it got stamped. It got stamped while I was there. I don't have a viewfinder, so I can't actually see what you guys can see. Paris was involved in that Europe trip, so I was like, oh, guess I should get French literature while I'm there. Shakespeare & Company is such a cute bookstore, and I wish I could have taken pictures, but they're very, very anti-photo there. I forgot, they told us why, but I forgot what the reason was. And I bought the small editions only because like all I had with me was 2 backpacks. And like only one of the backpacks could fit all my souvenirs, so I had to make sure the books I bought were kind of small. Obviously the Iliad and the Irish book, that didn't happen. But everything else, yeah. But oh my god, I have more books on my TBR that I forgot to mention. So I guess, yeah, that's Hunchback of Notre Dame. The next 3 books are a series, and I bought them while I was in Florence, Italy, and I was very excited to get these. When I went up to the lady and asked if they had them, she was kind of like weirded out because she's like, why does an American want these? And she heard me speak Italian, and she's like, that makes sense. So, for those of you who don't know, how many fucking books did I buy while I was on that Europe trip? Anyway, so for those of you who don't know, I am bilingual. I'm doing this thing because I have to like think about it sometimes. I speak Italian, not particularly well. Just gonna get that out there. I got by while I was in Italy though, and that's all that matters. And actually, surprisingly, if you could speak another language and like you kind of forget about it, because Italian is not common in America, so I was kind of losing some. But once it wasn't even in Italy yet. Like, France came before Spain and Italy, but while I was in France, that's when it came all rushing back to me, because, French is a Romance language, and because of Italian, I could read basic French, and the same thing happened in Spain, because I can understand Spanish when spoken to me. So all the Italian came rushing back, so I was like, I need to buy these books. So, Harry Potter, one of my favorite series of all time. J.K. Rowling, shitty person. That's for another video, though, that conversation. But will I always love Harry Potter? Yes, because it was my childhood. I want to reread the series one day. First, I need to reread it in English, because I have not read the series since I was 12, so we're pushing on like 11 years right now. But then I want to reread it in Italian, so I bought the first 3 books in Italian. So this is the first one, and then these covers are like the original Italian covers that they brought back for the 20th anniversary. My foot fell asleep. Oh my god, this video is a mess. Quarantine is killing me. My accent's horrendous, so bear with me. It's gonna be Harry Potter e la pietra filosofale. And then this is the second one, Harry Potter e la camera dei segreti. And then we have Harry Potter e il prigioniero. Let me like read this to myself before I read this out loud. Harry Potter e il prigioniero di Azkaban. My Italian accents in my head are prime. Great. But then I say it out loud and I'm like, holy crap, is that bad? So anyway, I'm really excited to get into these. My favorite thing about this is that they're like turtle backs, which is a hardback without like dust jacket. I don't know why. And, like, I love turtle backs because it makes me feel like I'm in like the 1800s, because that's how all their books are published. Also, the spine on this is like low-key kind of broken. But whatever, I bought it in Italy, so it's fine. Hogwarts, 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 teach us something, please. Also, that song is translated into Italian in these, and I just think that's the funniest thing. Hogwarts, 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 insegnaci qualcosa per favore. A noi anziani calvi e tutti storti. A noi ragazzi da calzoni corti. Le nostre teste devono riempirsi Reading out loud is very hard, even in English. Di cose interessanti da non dirsi. Per ora sono vuoti e pieni d'aria, di mosche morte e roba secondaria. Insegna a noi che cosa va imparato. Ripeti ciò che abbiamo dimenticato. Fa del tuo meglio e noi faremo il resto, finché il cervello non ci andrà in dissesto. And that is it for this video. I know it was really messy, but I feel like that's kind of the vibe right now because we're all like kind of dying in this quarantine because I'm losing my mind because I know Trump just extended it till he extended social distancing until April 30th, but my like Illinois governor is thinking about extending like the whole quarantine for the state of Illinois until April 30th. One of my Disney roommates is from Virginia and they just extended till June. Losing my mind. At least I can read all these books though. So if you have any books on your TBR I want to talk about, let me know. We can be a mess together. I'm gonna peace out. Thank you guys for watching. Ciao tutti.